Christmas is coming up. Obviously, because I'm looking so fucking pale, you can tell Christmas is coming up. I need some Christmas presents, so I'm gonna crochet some. For this video, we're gonna make a hat. Oh, like just a nice hat. I have some yarn with me. That is a medium number 4. And then I have a needle, millimeter 4. The yarn from inside. Ooh, that was smooth. And make a knot. This is how I make a knot. Take the end, dangling end, in your 2 fingers. You wrap your yarn around your fingers. Important is that you have a cross right here. And you secure it with your pinky finger. And now you can go with your fingers or your crochet hook under the first, and then you take the second, and then you just pull it off your fingers. And that's a loop right there. I put it between my fingers like this, so the yarn is on top of my point finger. You can like go around several times. Now we're gonna chain. I have 44 stitches. I'm gonna chain 1, do single crochets. So the first row is only single crochets, and I would show you how to do that, I'm sorry, but the footage I filmed, you can't see anything, so you're just gonna have to figure out how to do that on your own. But then for the next row, we're gonna do back loop single crochets, and I'll show you how to do that. At the end, you're gonna chain 1. You're gonna turn your work around, and now we're gonna do back loop single crochet. So you chain 1, turn your work around, and now you're just gonna go into the back loop. So there are 2 loops here. You're just gonna do the back loop and then just single crochet 1. And you pretty much keep doing that back and forth until you have some rows. At the end, you're just going to do the same. You chain stitch 1, you turn your work around, and you do back loop single crochets. And you just keep repeating those steps until it fits around your head. So this is me crocheting at the airport, and while I do so, I'm just going to tell you a story. So I was flying back from America because I visited there for 5 months. That's why I've only been crocheting on this channel, because I didn't have a sewing machine. And I was going back to Austria, where I live. I was with my boyfriend in the morning at the airport, and we drank a coffee. And you know what he did? He spilled his whole fucking coffee all over my purse. And you know what it was in my purse? All my important stuff. My iPad, my keyboard, my passports, my tickets, everything that's important. And my bag was soaked. So we got everything out as fast as we could, and we cleaned everything up, and he washed my bag out and everything. But it was still wet and sticky, and I couldn't have my stuff in there. So I put all my stuff in my backpack, because that was my other hand luggage. So, and then I flew from Albuquerque to Houston, from Houston to Chicago, and everything well. But then, from the flight from Houston to Chicago, suddenly, just before we got boarded the airplane, they were like, oh, yeah, we gotta take your big hand luggage. And I was like, oh, okay, fuck. So I got like my iPad and my keyboard out of my hand luggage, because I don't know, I don't want that to be in the luggage in the airplane. So I took it out, and then I went on the airplane, and everything was fine. And then I went off the airplane when we arrived. Oh, so this is me crocheting on the airplane now. So from this airplane, I got off, and the next thing was me to check in into the international flights, because I was going from Chicago to Vienna. I tried to check in, and suddenly I was like, fuck, where are my passports? And I looked everywhere, but I was like, my passports are in my backpack, because I put them there, and I forgot to put them in my purse, because my purse was soaking wet. So I was like, shit. And I told them my problem, and they were like, okay, that's not good at all. And they're like, do you have an ID? So I gave them my driver's license and my 2 bank cards, because they wanted something else with my name on it. And then he just disappeared. I was like, shit. I stood there for quite a while, and I was like scared he was not going to come back with my stuff. But eventually he did, and he got me through security, and he was like, yeah, he was not being that nice, but he was like, yeah, so we got you through here, but like, I don't know if the flights are going to let you through without a passport. So I just kept going, and I hurried to my flight, and I was like, I don't have a passport. What are we going to do? And they were like, ooh, that's really bad. So they looked what they could do, and they were like, yeah, we can't let you on this flight, so you're gonna miss this flight. And I was like shivering, like I was I was really scared I was gonna have to pay for the flight because a flight like overseas like that is really expensive. So I was really scared. But then they were like, okay, so we're gonna get your luggage off this plane and we're gonna put it to luggage security or whatever. So you're gonna go there and you're gonna get your passport and you're gonna check in and you're gonna take a flight from Chicago to Zurich, which is in Switzerland, and then to Vienna. I was like, okay. So I tried finding the luggage stuff, like where they send me, and they told me it was between Dunkin' Donuts and duty free, but I couldn't find it. There was nothing there. So I went to some people and I asked them, and I told them the story, and they were like, oh, so you're trying to get to luggage, like trying to pick up your luggage? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh, then, so they directed me to the luggage pickup, which was not the right place though. So I asked there and they were like, oh, I don't know about this. Like, ask the other lady there. So I asked her and I told her the story and she was like, yeah, you gotta go to the airline United because I can help you. So she directed me even further and I went there and I didn't find anything that she was directing me to. So then I asked the service there and they were like, yeah, you got to go to the airline. So they directed me in the other direction. I was like, what? So I went the other direction and then I finally found the Swiss and the Austrian airlines and I was like, oh, okay, let's go there. So I went there to the service and this man, I love him. He saved my life and I told him that. He was so like calm and he exactly listened to what I had to say and he helped me and he got my luggage and he even checked me in to the next flight. So then I finally flew from Chicago to Zurich and then from Zurich to Vienna, and that's my flight story. I hope you enjoyed it. Anyways, the flight was a hassle, but it did make it safely home, so that's good. And right here, I'm trying on the hat if it fits around my head, and you should do the same. It should not fit too tight. It should be just nice and snug. And if you have that, we're gonna go on to the next step. So this is when it finally fit me giving you a thumbs up. And next thing, we're just gonna sew these two sides together. Oh, and yeah, I had 69 rows. I don't know if it's going to be the same for you though, because my yarn was a medium, but it was still a very thin yarn for medium, so it might be different for you. Just make it fit around your head. To sew it together, you can either crochet it together like I did, so I'm trying to show you here. I go into the one loop from the other side, and then I go into the top loop, only the one that's further away from me, from the other side, and then I do a slip stitch. I don't know if that was understandable for you. It was hard to show you in the airplane, but that's what you do, and you just keep repeating that. If it doesn't work for you, you can just take a needle and some thread and sew it together. At the end, you're gonna do one chain stitch to secure. Take a little bit of yarn, make it long, and then cut the yarn. Oh! I just ripped it. Pull the yarn through, and now we're just gonna weave it through. So I'm taking my crochet hook. I'm just gonna go through the rows like this. Take the yarn and pull it through. And you just keep doing that all around. Actually, at the end, you go into the first one you used too. So that when you pull it together, it's all connected together and it's nice and tight. So next step is just pulling it together. And make a knot. And now you just hide the yarn and your hat is done. From where you sewed it together, you just turn the hat around. So now you should also have this, like this, there's one that's like standing out, which is where we sewed it together, and this one should be inside. And then you fold over your hat, and here you go. Pretty cute. A beanie. I'm gonna give this to my brother. It's his birthday present. But don't tell anyone.